The silent reckoning Commander Sarah Reeves stood motionless at the viewing port of Outpost Omega, her eyes fixed on the endless void of space. 15 years had passed since the Krellin Empire had crushed Earth's defense forces and claimed dominion over humanity. 15 years of hiding, surviving, and planning in the shadows while the alien conquerors believed they had broken the human spirit completely. "Commander, the final systems check is complete," Lieutenant Maya Wong reported, her voice barely above a whisper despite the fact that they were 300 million kilometers from the nearest Krellin patrol. Old habits died hard when you'd spent over a decade living in fear of detection. Sarah nodded, turning away from the viewport. "And the quantum drive? Dr. Ishida says it's performing beyond expectations. The prototype is ready for full integration." A thin smile crossed Sarah's face, the first in what felt like years. "Then it's time." Outpost Omega didn't exist on any charts. Hidden within a hollowed-out asteroid in the Kuiper Belt, it had been painstakingly constructed in absolute secrecy. Inside its reinforced walls, 200 survivors, scientists, engineers, former military personnel, had dedicated themselves to a single goal: creating a weapon that could strike back against their oppressors. Sarah walked through the dimly lit corridors, toward the central hangar, her footsteps echoing against metal floors. Workers paused their tasks to watch her pass, eyes filled with a mix of hope and trepidation. They all knew what today meant. The massive doors to Hangar Bay 1 slid open, revealing the culmination of 15 years of sacrifice, ingenuity, and desperate determination, the Nemesis. Unlike the bulky warships of Earth's former fleet, the Nemesis was sleek and predatory, its obsidian hull designed to absorb rather than reflect energy. At 350 meters long, it was smaller than a Krellin destroyer but packed with technologies the aliens couldn't imagine. "She's beautiful," Sarah whispered. Chief Engineer Marcus Okafor approached, wiping grease from his hands. "And deadly. We've installed the quantum displacement drive where the Krellins would expect to find a standard fusion reactor. When they scan us, if they can scan us at all, they'll see a civilian transport, nothing more." "And the weapon systems?" Marcus grinned. "The plasma cannons can punch through Krellin shields like they're tissue paper. We reverse-engineered their own technology and improved it by factors they wouldn't believe possible." "Good work," Sarah said, clasping his shoulder. "Get your team ready. We launch in 6 hours." As Marcus hurried away, Dr. Elena Ishida approached, datapad in hand. The scientist had been a theoretical physicist before the invasion. Now she was the architect of humanity's most advanced weapon systems. "The stealth systems are fully operational, Commander," she reported. "The metamaterial hull absorbs 99.8% of scanner emissions. We're effectively invisible unless someone physically looks out a window and spots us." "And what are the chances of that?" "The Krellins don't look out windows much," Elena replied with a hint of dark humor. "They trust their technology too much. That's their weakness." Sarah nodded. "That and the fact that they think we're broken. 15 years without resistance has made them complacent." "Commander." The urgent voice came from Communications Officer Jack Ferris, who was rushing across the hangar floor. "We've intercepted a Krellin transmission. It was heavily encrypted, but we managed to break it." "What did you find?" "They're planning a raid on the Ceres settlement. 2 warships will arrive in less than 12 hours to harvest more workers for their mining operations." Sarah's jaw tightened. The Ceres settlement was one of the few semi-open human colonies, allowed to exist only because it provided the Krellins with a steady supply of labor. Over 5,000 people lived there, families, children, all under the constant shadow of Krellin domination. "Then we have our first mission," Sarah said. "Alert Admiral Chen. Tell him Operation Phoenix is activating, ahead of schedule, across the solar system in hidden bases and secret outposts." Other human resistance leaders received the same coded message. For 15 years, Admiral Victor Chen had coordinated from the shadows, building a network of survivors, each group working on different components of the master plan. Now those pieces were finally coming together. 6 hours later, Sarah stood on the bridge of the Nemesis, surrounded by her hand-picked crew. Many had been cadets when Earth fell. Now they were hardened veterans of a silent war. All systems online, reported Lieutenant Wong from the tactical station. Stealth systems active. Quantum drive ready for engagement. Weapons hot and locked, added Weapons Officer Liam Jackson. The former Marine had lost his entire family during the fall of Earth and had waited 15 years for this moment. Sarah took her place in the command chair. Communications maintain complete silence. Navigator, set course for Ceres. Tactical, I want continuous passive scans. If the Krellans are early, I want to know. The hangar bay doors opened silently, revealing the star-filled void. With barely a whisper from its engines, the Nemesis slipped into space, invisible to conventional sensors. Quantum drive engaging in 3, 2, 1. There was no dramatic flash, no burst of energy, simply a silent displacement as the Nemesis vanished from the Kuiper belt and reappeared near the orbit of Mars. Millions of kilometers crossed in an instant. Transit complete, Maya reported. Stealth systems holding, no sign of detection. Sarah leaned forward in her chair. Time to Ceres? At current speed, 2 hours. Too long. The Krellans could arrive before us. Take us to emergency speed. Commander, that will increase our energy signature, Marcus warned from the engineering station. We might be detected. Risk it. Those people on Ceres have no defenses, no weapons. They're sitting ducks. The Nemesis accelerated, pushing the limits of its stealth technology. For 90 minutes, they raced through the inner solar system, every crew member tense, waiting for alarms that would signal discovery. Contact, Maya suddenly called out. 2 Krellan warships approaching Ceres from the opposite vector. Classification: 1 Ravager-class destroyer, 1 Harvester transport. Sarah's eyes narrowed. The Ravager could obliterate the Nemesis if they were detected, but the transport was vulnerable. Tactical analysis? Liam's fingers flew across his console. The destroyer is running standard shield configurations. Weak points at the engine. Nacelles and command module. The transport has minimal shielding. Designed for atmosphere entry, not combat. Perfect, Sarah said coldly. Battle stations. Prepare ambush pattern Delta. Throughout the ship, crew members moved to combat positions. In the launch bay, a squad of Marines checked their weapons. Modified versions of Krellan plasma rifles enhanced with human ingenuity. We're in position, Maya reported. The Krellans are beginning their approach to Ceres. They haven't detected us. Sarah stood, her voice carrying across the bridge. For 15 years they've hunted us, enslaved us. Today that changes. Today we show them that humanity isn't defeated. We were just gathering our strength. She turned to Liam. Target. The destroyer's propulsion systems fire when ready. Aye, Commander. Plasma torpedoes locked. Firing. 3 brilliant streaks erupted from the Nemesis, crossing the void in seconds. The first torpedo struck the Krellan destroyer's port engine, detonating in a spectacular blast that shattered alien alloys. The second and third hit microseconds, later disabling the destroyer's primary systems before it could even raise alarms. Direct hits, Liam reported, unable to keep the satisfaction from his voice. Destroyer is disabled. Their communications are offline. Now the transport, Sarah ordered. Disable only. I want those Krellans alive. Another volley fired, precision strikes that crippled the transport's engines without endangering the vessel itself. Both targets neutralized, Maya confirmed. No distress signals detected. Sarah nodded. Launch boarding parties. I want control of both ships within 15 minutes. As Marine teams deployed from the Nemesis, Sarah opened a channel to the Ceres settlement. This is Commander Sarah Reeves of the Earth resistance vessel Nemesis. We have neutralized the Krellan threat. Your settlement is secure. For several seconds there was silence. Then a disbelieving voice replied, This is Governor Patel of Ceres Colony. We haven't heard from any resistance in years. We thought we were alone. You were never alone, Sarah answered. We've been preparing, and now we're back. 2 hours later, Sarah stood in the cargo hold of the captured Krellan transport, surrounded by data tablets and equipment seized from the alien vessels. The Krellan crew, Those who had survived were secured in their own holding cells. Stunned by the sudden reversal of fortune, Lieutenant Wong approached, excitement visible on her face despite her exhaustion. "Commander, we've decrypted their navigation data. This is bigger than we thought. These ships weren't just on a standard harvesting mission. They were advanced scouts for a major operation. The Krellans are planning something big, a full-scale sweep of the inner colonies. How soon?" 2 weeks. They're gathering a fleet at their forward base in the Jovian sector. Sarah absorbed this information, mind racing. "Contact Admiral Chen immediately. Use the quantum comm. I don't care about detection now. The Krellans already know we're here." Within minutes, the holographic image of Admiral Victor Chen appeared, a man who had once commanded Earth's space forces and now led the scattered Resistance. "Commander Reeves," he said, his voice steady despite the momentous news. "I understand the Phoenix has risen ahead of schedule. Sir, we've captured a Krellan destroyer and transport near Ceres. But there's more. We've uncovered plans for a major Krellan operation throughout the inner system. They're assembling a fleet." Chen's expression hardened. "Then we move up our timetable. The other projects are ready, or nearly so. The Eclipse and the Harbinger will rendezvous with you at these coordinates." He transmitted a set of numbers, the location of another hidden base. 3 ships against a Krellan fleet? Sarah asked. 4 ships, Chen corrected. The Defiance completed trials last week. Plus we have other surprises ready. The Krellans thought they had crushed humanity's spirit, Commander. They're about to learn how wrong they were. As the transmission ended, Sarah turned to look at her crew, men and women who had lived in shadow for 15 years, watching their world suffer under alien dominion. Now their faces showed something that had been missing for too long. Hope. "Set course for the rendezvous point," she ordered, "and prepare all systems for sustained combat operations. The silent years are over." In the vast darkness of space, the Nemesis vanished into quantum displacement, leaving behind a disabled Krellan warship, the first sign that humanity had not been defeated after all. They had only been waiting for the right moment to strike back. Breaking the chains, High Commander Drakthor slammed his armored fist against the tactical display, shattering the holographic projection. His secondary arms twitched with barely contained rage as he glared at his subordinates. "Impossible!" he roared, mandibles clicking in agitation. "How could humans, primitive, conquered humans, destroy one of our destroyers?" Fleet Captain Vexnar stood rigid, knowing that bearers of bad news often didn't survive Drakthor's temper. "The vessel appeared from nowhere, High Commander. Its weapons technology far exceeds anything humans should possess. And now? The destroyer Vengeance is lost. The transport gatherer is missing. We've dispatched 3 patrol cruisers to the area, but what?" Drakthor's voice dropped dangerously low. "They found nothing. No debris, no signals. The human settlement on Ceres claims to know nothing, though we suspect they lie." Drakthor turned toward the view screen that dominated his command center. The massive orbital fortress Dominion hung in space above Jupiter, the center of Krellan, power in the human solar system. For 15 years they had ruled unchallenged, harvesting resources and slaves with minimal resistance. "Increase security at all outposts," he ordered. "Double patrols along shipping lanes and accelerate the cleansing operation. I want it launched in 1 week, not 2. As his subordinates scrambled to comply, Drakthor gazed at the stars. Somewhere, out there, humans had found their courage again. He would ensure they regretted it. Admiral Victor Chen reviewed the tactical display aboard the stealth command vessel Defiance. Around him, the commanders of humanity's secret fleet gathered: Sarah, Reeves from the Nemesis, Marcus Zhang from the Eclipse, and Ayana Okafor from the Harbinger. Each ship represented a different aspect of human ingenuity. Each commander brought unique strengths to the coming battle. "The Krellans are moving up their timetable," Chen explained, highlighting movement patterns across the inner system. "They're rushing to launch their cleansing operation, a systematic purge of human settlements they deem unnecessary. Based on the data Commander Reeves recovered, they plan to eliminate 80% of the remaining human population. Sarah leaned forward, studying the Krellin deployment. They're spreading themselves thin, vulnerable. Exactly, Chen agreed, which is why we strike now, before they can reorganize. He expanded the hologram, revealing their primary target, the Dominion, Drakthor's fortress above Jupiter. This is where we hit hardest. The Dominion isn't just their command center, it's also their primary processing facility for human captives. How many? Ayana asked quietly. Intelligence suggests over 20,000 humans are held there, processed and shipped to mining operations throughout Krellin territory. Marcus Zhang, the youngest of the commanders, shook his head. 4 ships against their headquarters? Sir, with respect, that's suicide. Chen smiled thinly. 4 ships they can see, but we have more assets than they know. He activated a secondary display, showing dozens of blinking lights scattered throughout the Jovian system. For 15 years, while building our fleet in secret, we've also been seeding dormant weapons platforms throughout their territory. EMP satellites, automated fighters, and more importantly, he paused, a network of insurgents within their slave labor force. Understanding dawned on their faces. They call us cattle, Sarah said quietly. They think we're broken. That makes them vulnerable. Indeed, Chen nodded. The plan is threefold. First, our ships will attack the Dominion's outer defenses, drawing their fleet response. Second, we activate the dormant weapons network, causing chaos in their command and control systems. Third, while they're distracted, our infiltration teams liberate the human captives and turn them into an internal fighting force. When do we move? Ayana asked. 12 hours, Chen replied. Prepare your ships. This will be humanity's first coordinated offensive in 15 years. Make it count. The Nemesis dropped out of quantum displacement 5,000 kilometers from Jupiter's largest moon, Ganymede. Immediately, passive sensors detected intense Krellin activity, patrol ships moving in tight formation, scanning constantly for threats. They're jumpy, Liam observed from tactical. Word of our attack on Ceres has them spooked. Sarah nodded, studying the deployment patterns. Good. Scared enemies make mistakes. Status of stealth systems? Holding at optimal, Maya reported. They have no idea we're here. The quantum comm chimed softly, indicating a secure transmission from Admiral Chen. All vessels in position, he reported. Operation Prometheus commences in 30 minutes. Synchronized timing, Sarah acknowledged, then turned to her crew. Battle. Stations. Load all torpedo tubes, prepare for simultaneous target engagement. Throughout the ship, crew members moved with practiced efficiency, the product of endless drills conducted in the darkness of Outpost Omega. In the launch bay, Marine teams checked their gear one final time, preparing for boarding operations. 5 minutes to engagement, Maya announced. Sarah stood addressing the bridge crew. For 15 years they've called us vermin. Today, we show them that humanity isn't so easily exterminated. Today we remind them why they should have finished the job when they had the chance. A chorus of, "Yes, Commander," echoed across the bridge. Mark targets, Sarah ordered. Primary focus on their communication arrays and defense platforms. Disable. Don't destroy. We need that station intact for the prisoners. Targets locked, Liam confirmed. Sarah took a deep breath. On my mark. Fire. The Nemesis shuddered as plasma torpedoes launched in rapid succession, streaking across space toward the unsuspecting Krellin fortress. Simultaneously, the Eclipse and Harbinger fired from different vectors, their weapons converging on the Dominion's outer defensive ring. Alarms blared across Krellin command networks as explosions ripped through their defensive platforms. Before they could respond, a second wave of attacks hit communication arrays and sensor nodes, effectively blinding the fortress. Direct hits across all targets, Liam reported. Their outer defenses are down. Krellin response ships launching, Maya warned. Detecting 20 destroyer-class vessels powering up. Sarah nodded. As expected, signal Admiral Chen to activate Phase 2. Throughout the Jovian system, dormant human technology suddenly came to life. EMP satellites detonated electromagnetic pulses that disabled Krellin systems. Automated drone fighters emerged from hiding places in asteroid fields and moon craters, swarming toward Krellin patrol ships like angry insects. On the main view screen, Sarah watched chaos unfold across Krellin formations as ships lost power, collided with one another, or veered off course, systems compromised. "They're confused," she noted with satisfaction. "Now for Phase 3. Prepare boarding shuttles. Lieutenant Wong, you have the bridge. Keep the Nemesis out of their firing solutions." "Aye, Commander," Maya acknowledged as Sarah headed for the launch bay. Inside the Dominion, High Commander Drakthor roared orders as systems failed around him. "Restore communications. Deploy the reserve fleet. Find those human ships and destroy them." "High Commander," a subordinate interrupted. "We're detecting internal security breaches across levels 30 through 65. The human pens? Impossible." But it wasn't impossible. For years, resistance operatives had infiltrated the captured labor pools, identifying potential fighters, spreading coded messages, and smuggling in components that, when assembled, formed crude but effective weapons. Now, as the Krellin security forces rushed to defend against external threats, those carefully placed seeds of rebellion bloomed into full-scale insurrection. Sarah led her Marine team through the access corridor they'd blown into the station's side, her modified plasma rifle sweeping for targets. Behind her, 30 hardened fighters moved with precision, each carrying weapons and liberation equipment. "Life signs ahead," reported Corporal Jin. "Large concentration, matches expected location of holding pens." They encountered surprisingly little resistance. Most Krellin security forces had been deployed to counter the space attack. The few guards they encountered were dispatched quickly and silently. When they reached the main holding area, Sarah was unprepared for what she found. Thousands of humans packed into cramped cells, wearing control collars that delivered pain whenever they disobeyed. Many showed signs of malnourishment and abuse, but in their eyes, something the Krellins had failed to extinguish: defiance. "I'm Commander Sarah Reeves," she announced, her voice carrying across the huge chamber. "Earth Resistance, we're here to free you." For a moment, stunned silence. Then, a deafening roar as thousands of captives realized salvation had finally arrived. "Security, teams, disable the control systems," Sarah ordered. "Medical units, priority to the injured. The rest of you distribute weapons to anyone capable of fighting. We're not just escaping, we're taking this station." As collars deactivated and cell doors opened, the liberated prisoners surged forward. Many were too weak to stand, but others, those who had endured and survived, grabbed improvised weapons and joined the resistance fighters. "Commander," Jin called out, pointing to a human male approaching them. Unlike the others, he wore a modified Krellin uniform. "He says he's been undercover here for years." The man extended his hand. "David Matsuda, Earth Intelligence. We've been waiting for this day for a long time." "How many fighters can you muster?" Sarah asked. "At least 5,000, he replied without hesitation. "We've been preparing them, in secret. The Krellins think they've broken us, but we've just been biding our time." Sarah nodded. "Then let's take this station." On the bridge of the Defiance, Admiral Chen watched as the battle unfolded according to plan. The Krellin response fleet was in disarray, caught between attacking human warships and defending against internal rebellion. "Sir," his tactical officer reported, "we're receiving transmissions from the Dominion. Commander Reeves reports they've secured the prisoner sections and are moving toward command levels." Chen allowed himself a small smile. "And the other outposts?" "Simultaneous uprisings reported at 6 Krellin bases." "It's working, sir. The sleeper cells are activating exactly as planned." Chen nodded. "Broadcast the general signal. Tell all human settlements. The chains are breaking. The time is now." High Commander Drakthor had retreated to his inner sanctum surrounded by his elite guard. The situation reports were incomprehensible. Simultaneous attacks across their territory, rebellions in every labor camp, and somehow, impossibly, a coordinated human fleet engaging their forces. The doors to his command center exploded inward, and human fighters poured through the breach. At their head stood a female human, her armor scorched from battle but her eyes burning with unmistakable purpose. "Drakthor," Sarah said, leveling her weapon at the Krellin commander. 15 years ago you declared humanity conquered. You were wrong. The Krellin leader chittered in rage. You are nothing. Vermin. We crushed your militaries, destroyed your cities. But you made one critical mistake, Sarah replied calmly. You let some of us live. And humans, Commander Drakthor, don't break. We adapt. We plan. And when the time is right, we strike back. As Drakthor lunged forward in a final desperate attack, Sarah fired, her enhanced plasma weapon punching through. His ceremonial armor, the High Commander of the Krellin occupation force, collapsed at the feet of those he had considered inferior. 1 week later, Sarah stood on the observation deck of the Dominion, now renamed Liberation Station, watching as refugee ships departed for Earth. Admiral Chen joined her, his weathered face showing signs of cautious optimism. The Krellins are retreating from the solar system, he reported. Our intelligence suggests they're calling for reinforcements from their home territories. They'll be back, Sarah said grimly. Yes, Chen agreed, but not as conquerors. Not again. We've proven we won't be dominated. He gestured toward the view screen where the 4 human warships now orbited openly. And we're not stopping here. The shipyards at Titan are already constructing 6 more vessels. The research teams are integrating captured Krellin technology with our innovations. What about the other slave worlds? Sarah asked. There are human colonies throughout Krellin space. Chen nodded. Phase 2 of our plan. The Nemesis will lead a task force beyond our solar system, establishing contact with resistance cells on those worlds. We've already received transmissions. They've heard about what happened here. Sarah watched as another transport departed carrying former prisoners back to Earth. They thought they'd broken us, she said quietly. They thought 15 years of silence meant surrender. They never understood humanity, Chen replied. We don't break, we wait. And when we strike back, he smiled grimly, we change the galaxy. In the blackness of space, the stars seemed brighter somehow, as humanity's long night of subjugation finally gave way to the dawn of liberation.